Hey, what's up, football family? Welcome to this episode of the Alternate Football Podcast. This was an interesting week in alternative football, so uh, let's get right into it because there's a lot to talk about. So let's first talk about the Alliance because that's the big um, alternate football league that is currently out there right now. The games were this week, but I mainly want to talk about this little clickbaity title that I have on this. Um, the Alliance nearly didn't even get payroll out for this week, and they had to get a $250 million investment and essentially practically sell the league ish from Tom Dundon. I think I'm saying his name right. I am a NHL fan, but I don't know this guy very well. He's the current owner of the Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL, and he is now the chairman of the Alliance of American Football League. So 2 weeks in, and you're already not being able to pay your players is a very, very bad sign. Because at least the UFL got through 2 seasons until they started not being able to pay their players. And the UFL failed miserably. While I personally am really enjoying the games and watching the Alliance right now, it's not a good sign that they're already having money troubles within 2 weeks. I mean, everyone should expect when you start a new football league, there's going to be money troubles. There's a lot of um, finances that has to be figured out. And that Charlie Ebersol kept saying, "Hey, we know all the mistakes that have all been done before. We won't make the same mistakes." It sounds exactly like you're making the exact same mistakes over again. Like you're doing exactly why all the other ones failed, but you said you weren't going to do that this time. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and they at least make it through this year and hopefully have a season next year. But right now, I am not optimistic that they're going to even have a second season. I really do not think so. Honestly, as a season ticket holder for the Atlanta Legends, I just hope they play their whole season so I get what I paid for, because right now they haven't had a single home game yet. And if they fold before this game this weekend against the Iron, then I won't get my money back. So I really hope they at least make it through this season and hopefully make it to be as successful as they have been promising. Some of the reasons why I think this has not been as successful is the app. The app is atrocious. I despise it. The little mini game thing is not fun. It's not fun at all. It does not sync up with TV. Still haven't been able to use it at the game. I will try to use it this Sunday at the Iron Legends game and see if the app is better in person. But honestly, they need to not worry about attendance. They need to worry about the person at home trying to watch the game. That's how you're going to grow fans. You're not going to be able to get them in the small markets. The small market attendance is not going to control the money side. With a amazing, like they have MGM as a major supporter of the league. They really should have some sort of like prop betting or gambling system on that app instead of this weird mini game that is so clunky and awkward and not fun to play. But then they don't have any form of fantasy football. They don't have daily. They don't have season long. They don't have game betting. They don't have anything other than scores. They finally and they have live stream now, but it's only of the little sky cam, the drone. I know it's not a drone because it's on wires, but the drone cam that's behind the offensive line, it's from that, but with no commentary and no score. So you have to keep jumping in and out of the feed to be able to tell what's going on. Like if you jumped in halfway through, you'd be like, okay, so like let me use the Birmingham Salt Lake game. Oh, okay, Salt Lake's up. And then you'd get in there, and then if you look away for a little bit, you might see that Birmingham scored, but you might not know whether or not you don't know whether that was a 2-point conversion or the touchdown. And then because you don't have anyone telling you what's going on, and you don't have a scoreboard, and you also don't know how much time's left in the quarter just by looking at the feed. So the feed is atrocious. The app is atrocious. It's not fun. It doesn't give you enough information about what's actually going on in the game. They really need to just completely get rid of that app. If they have a second season, which I hope they do, just get rid of that live stream app thing and get rid of these like super expensive footballs with chips in them and all that if Trent Richardson accidentally spikes the ball and it goes into the stands, that you have to fine him for it because their footballs are so expensive. Why are you spending so much on just your freaking footballs? The Arena Football League for years was giving those things away. You should be using the same style of football as that, and then just have MGM come up with some sort of DraftKings style daily fantasy and have that. That is a way to engage. I'm a little worried that they spent all their money buying the TV rights. I don't think TNT, BR Live, or NFL Network is paying for any of the TV. I think the Alliance is paying for it out of their own pocket just to be able to get on TV, because somehow they screwed up the app and the website, and it's not streaming capable like they thought they were. That's why the app was so delayed, and also why the website has just now gotten replays on the website also, but it's still just replays of exactly what they have on the app. Some of them have commentary, some of them don't. The presentation is terrible. If someone wants to watch this game, they have to have a cable subscription, and they have to have a higher tier to be able to have NFL Network and CBS Sports Network. It's not a good system. It's not. So, because you can't go to the website and just watch a replay of the game or a condensed version. Now, luckily, there are some guys on YouTube that are providing some of the content that the league should be providing, but the league should be providing this so the message is clear, it looks very professional, not putting down some of the guys on YouTube, but they're YouTube guys. I mean, look at what I'm making. I'm a YouTube guy. This is not at the level. If this was actually produced by Alliance of American Football League, I would be just as pissed as I am now, because I'm just a dude with a microphone. That's it. And a webcam. So it's a totally different level. Not to put down any guys. There's one YouTuber I want to bring up that I really like what he is doing. I'll make sure to put a link to one of his videos in the description down here so you can see. But his his videos are really good. And I do like that they are a highlight. They do a 10 to 15-minute highlight of each game, and he did one in particular for the Legends game that I very much enjoyed, from the where the Legends and the Fleet was. Let me pull up. I want to make sure to give him proper credit because I very much like his style. Let me pull it up here so I know exactly. Highlight Heaven. Highlight Heaven on YouTube is his channel. If anyone is interested in what I think they should do, they should have the one game a week should be on some sort of network. Go ahead and pay for that. That's fine. Or just do it on CBS Sports Network and have full production just like all the other games that they're having right now. Because really the presentation has been wonderful. But to save money and take this a little bit longer and build up slowly as opposed to just pouring money into it like apparently they've been doing since they couldn't even pay the players without getting bailed out by this billionaire. They should have the other 3 games of the week only streaming on the website, which is what I thought the original idea was, and using essentially a very similar format to Highlight Heaven's highlight package of the Legends and San Diego Fleet game. It was very cool. So it was essentially just the drone footage with some commentary over it, and then it had the score in the corner. The score. Now you could expand the look of it a little bit more, have like the game clock, the score, like the normal bar that you would normally have, or whatever, just a scoreboard so you can keep track of the score and when the flag is thrown and all that kind of stuff. But then just have the one like drone cam, which was it's a very cool way to watch. The NFL was forced to use it for a little while in that one game. I can't remember the 2 teams, but where it was so foggy that the stadium cameras couldn't see onto the field, so they had to use the drone cam, and then they tried it again later to see if that actually was viable. And so now Alliance is just live streaming them with no commentary like that. It's kind of a cool way to watch football, the kind of Madden view of football, and it's fun. It could work, I think, if you would just have local radio announcers, whatever the home radio announcer, just fed over that video stream, make sure it's synced up, not delayed, and then have a scoreboard on the screen. And just do that for 3 of the games of the week, and then have a game of the week on CBS Sports Network, and then have all the playoff games on TV, and then the championship game on TV. Something like that. Save some money. If what I think is going on where they're actually buying all the TV packages, no wonder they're running out of money. And that is not good. You're only 2 weeks in and you're already needing to be bailed out. It's terrible. I really hope they make it. So anyways, now that that's over, let's start talking about what's really important and the actual football. So week 2, let's just get into my breakdowns of each of the games. We had pretty much the best game of the week was Apollos and the Commanders. That was a fantastic game to watch. It was fun, especially since a lot of the games, one of the problems about having a spring league that that you have is it rains a lot in the spring. I'm currently in Atlanta, and it is raining a lot. And so far, the Legends haven't had a single game that wasn't in like a freaking downpour. So I really hope this rain stops before their first home game this Sunday, since I know what Atlanta fans are like, and Atlanta fans are very fickle. And if it's cold and wet, they will not show up, other than the season ticket holders like I am. So the Apollos and Commanders game this past week was very fun to watch because it's inside an inside dome. It's one of the benefits that arena football or indoor football has when they play in the spring is the weather is always perfect. They don't have to worry about rain or really cold weather. One of the reasons why I think that arena football is a better spring version than outdoor football. But anyway, so let me talk about the week 2. So the I'll start with the Apollos and the Commanders. That was my favorite game of the week. Orlando won 37-29. The Orlando offense was just insane. They're pretty much the only team that can consistently pass down the field with Garrett Gilbert. And he's throwing to Ernest Johnson, or Johnson's running, and then receiving Charles Johnson and Jalil Marshall are just tearing it up and doing it well. Charles Johnson had 192 yards in this game. It was amazing. And then Marshall was fantastic. And then Keith Reeser had that pick 6 off of the Commanders. Commanders highlights, Faro is a really good running back. That touchdown that he had where he just somersaulted in, I thought he broke his arm. Luckily, he's not injured. But that was an amazing run. It was so exciting to watch. Also, Ayers was doing so well for the Commanders. He had that one-handed catch, and then he had a couple more really outstanding catches. Those are a few of the players that are really showing what they can really do in this league right now. So another game that was really entertaining was the Iron and the Stallions. The Iron wound up winning again, so they're also at 2-0, just like the Apollos. Luis Perez, he had the one pass where he dumped off to Richardson, which I'm not even 100% sure he was intending to throw it to Richardson. I think he was just throwing it away, and Richardson happened to be in the area, and Richardson caught it, and I believe it was either 37 or 27 yard gain on essentially a broken play where he threw it from the end zone, essentially just trying to throw it away to get rid of the safety. That's the way it looked to me. He might have intended to throw it to Richardson, but I don't think he even knew he was there. So that was wonderful. That was very cool to see. Schultz for the Stallions looked really good on the defensive line. He got through 2 blocks off the offensive line to get a sack on Perez to set up that play. Birmingham 12, Salt Lake 9. It wasn't a very high scoring game, but it was very entertaining in my respect because there was enough interesting plays that happened, which is really what one of the things that's very important for this league is to really show that there's interesting football. So let me move on. There's also Arizona Hot Shots 20, Memphis 18. That was a very big game because Arizona had to come back against the Express. So the Express was actually showing quite a bit. of that they might be a little bit better than what they kind of look like, because they were up for most of the game, and the Hotshots had to come back at the end of the game. Justin Stockton looked fantastic, especially on that draw play for the touchdown. The Express, Zach Stacy, looked really good. Let's look at some of the stats here. John Wolford, 14 for 22, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Hackenberg still did not look great, but Zach Stacy, he pretty much kept the team running. He had 19 carries for 101 yards and 1 touchdown. Christian Hackenberg had 1 rushing touchdown. But the Arizona Hotshots look very good. They have the first road win of the Alliance of American Football League. We'll see if that winds up being the only road win so far. But so then, obviously, I'll get into my Atlanta Legends. Hey, at least they scored a touchdown this time. I just want to see the Legends have one game that's not in a torrential downpour. Their first game against the Apollo was super rainy. Their second game, the first half, it wasn't super rainy. Malachi Jones was able to get a touchdown reception. I don't know if maybe the receivers just aren't receiving well or anything. If the conditions are having a big effect on Legends play, I don't think so, because the Fleet and the Apollos both have the same conditions, and somehow they still somehow do better than the Legends do. Malachi Jones is a really good receiver. His brother needs to start getting a few more receptions. I don't think I've even said the score yet. The scores: Fleet 24, Atlanta 12. This was played in San Diego. Attendance was not very great, which it's probably because of the rain, I would suspect. So passing, Nelson 14 for 30, Matt Sims 17 to 25 for 160, Nelson 14 for 30 for 142. But really, this was a rushing game. Pittman looked pretty good, and so did Folston. But rushing, Jawan Gardner had 104 yards on 15 carries. Watson had 14 carries for 49 yards. Receiving, Wadley had 70 receiving yards. Malachi Jones had that 1 touchdown, 37 receiving yards. Shantavius Johnson had 3 receptions on 7 targets. Malachi Jones caught all 3 of his passes. Shantavius Jones had dropped 4 passes, or didn't get 4 completions, essentially. I can't remember how many of them were far over his head or something. One of the things in this game, though, that was crazy was Nelson somehow decided to just throw the ball back over his head without even looking. I'm not sure why he thought that was a good idea, and somehow the receiver actually caught the ball, but they called it an incomplete pass. But I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. More reason why leagues like this need to exist is so he can look at the game film and be like, look at how stupid that was. And so these coaches can coach them. And hopefully by the end of the season, this is the type of stuff that we stop seeing in this league, because this is the kind of stuff that starts making this league look bad. And having this a week where a freaking starting quarterback in this league literally just throws a football over his shoulder without even looking like he's a bride at a wedding, like the bouquet toss. That is ridiculous, and hopefully that never happens again. Because they don't need that type of thing being broadcasted out. They need more like the hits from the first week that got people excited, not poor quarterback play like that getting out there and getting popular. Another thing I wanted to bring up is I have started listening to this other podcast that is quite entertaining that I think a lot of you guys out here, I will definitely put a link in the description of this YouTube video. Check out Business Wars on Wondery. Right now they are doing their season is all about how the USFL got formed and their history and what happened with the USFL and why it eventually died. And it's a very entertaining podcast. I think anyone should check it out if you wanted to learn more of what happened with the USFL. It's very interesting. One of the things that they talked about is apparently in USFL's first season, it rained nearly every game, which we are starting to see something very similar with the Alliance. So that is something, being a springtime outdoor football league, it's going to be a little difficult. And you're just going to have to understand that it's going to rain a lot. And I remember in the XFL, nearly every game that they played in Chicago and New York, it was raining and hard. So I didn't think about that until I started listening to this podcast. I was like, oh yeah, that does happen a lot. So that is a hurdle that the Alliance is going to have to get over. So I will make sure to leave a link in the description of this video. Check it out. It's very interesting to listen to. I think they still have a few more episodes left. They're talking about the switch to fall and all that, and the real reasons why the USFL failed. So I wanted to mention that, but hey, there's also indoor football league is actually kicking off. Actually, I can say they're kicking off because they still have kickoffs. The Alliance doesn't have kickoffs. So, but the IFL is going to be kicking off this weekend. I'm going to tell you one thing. This will be the first season that I actually deeply follow the IFL. So if I get some things wrong about the IFL, please just send me an email, leave me a comment down below, whatever. If you're a diehard IFL fan, I plan on watching this entire season and learning the quirks of the IFL that are different to arena football that I remember and understand. As you can see, I'm wearing my Georgia Force jersey tonight. So let's talk about, I won't be breaking down rosters because I really don't know a whole lot about any of these teams. I haven't watched the IFL like a whole season ever. I've sometimes watched the United Bowl every once in a while just out of curiosity. So I will be learning about this league as the year goes on. But this week, the San Diego Strike Force, the new team, is going to the Quad City Steamwheelers, which I believe Quad City is more like the Chicago area. And then the Bismarck Bucks is playing at the Nebraska Danger. And the Arizona Rattlers are playing at the Green Bay Blizzard. So obviously the team names, some of them, if you're an arena football fan, should sound familiar because the Arizona Rattlers used to be in the AFL with Nick Davila and all that. Used to be an AFL team. And the Green Bay Blizzard used to be an AF2 team many years ago. So there's some team names that should sound somewhat familiar to arena football fans. So if you're at all a fan, all their games can be streamed on YouTube. So the IFL is actually beating the Alliance on this. They have their games very easily obtainable and easy to follow, which the Alliance needs to start learning a little bit from the IFL by making it easier to follow the league. So check them out on YouTube. So subscribe. Their website is goifl.com. You can catch all the streams and replays through their website. And just check out the league. Follow it with me. I'll be following all three of the major indoor leagues the way I see it: the IFL, the National Arena League, and the AFL. The AFL has announced that they're going to have a press conference on the 21st. I believe it's at noon. I have a feeling they're probably going to be announcing the team name for the Atlantic City team. But we'll see when I'll be talking about that next week. I hope to have fun this weekend at my first Alliance game, and see it in Turner Field. I know Georgia State Stadium is Turner Field, and I will be checking out the app. Hopefully, it's better in person, but I really hope they fix that app. I'll see some of you. I'll be tailgating before the game. I'll be sitting in, I think I'm section 216. I don't remember. I'll make sure I know where I'm sitting before the game. Hopefully it doesn't rain too bad. I just want the Legends to have one game where they don't have to rain. I think the only game that they can guarantee no rain is when they play San Antonio. That's it. So please stop raining, for Christ's sakes. So hope everyone had fun. I had fun talking with you. Follow me on Instagram. Email me at alternatefootball.podcast@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram, alternate_football_podcast. Leave me a like, shout out, subscribe, whatever you feel like doing to support this. I'm going to be talking football all year round. So come on this wild ride with me. Thank you.